Hey y'all, and welcome to Brawl. My name is Brian, and Representative DeLauro just loses her mind the moment Pam Bondi pushes back and tells her the truth about what's happening with the ATF in this committee meeting. Let's dive in.
Your budget request for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, proposes a cut of 26% below the current level. How can you justify such a massive cut without inevitably weakening ATF's ability to help our state and local law enforcement fight illegal gun trafficking? How many ATF law enforcement officers and industry operations investigators do you anticipate will be lost to attrition as a result of this funding reduction you're proposing?
So, I am a career prosecutor, and I believe in keeping America safe, making America safe. First, what we're doing is ATF is going to be brought over with DEA. Everyone knows, everyone sitting up here, guns and drugs go together. They go together. We're going to make it more efficient. What I will tell you will not be happening is ATF agents will not be knocking on the doors of legal gun owners in the middle of the night asking them about their guns. They're going to be out on the streets. If I can finish, they're going to be out on the streets.
I have three
No.
minutes.
You asked me a question.
I did, and
you asked me a question,
and you haven't
I'm gonna
answered my
answer it.
question.
So they're going to be out on the streets working
You haven't
hand in hand
answered my
with
question.
DEA
You
to
haven't
violate.
answered. Mr. Chairman, I'd like an answer to my question. And the question is not being answered. How many ATF law enforcement officers and industry operations investigators do you anticipate will be lost to attrition as a result of the funding reduction you are proposing? You are proposing a 26% cut to ATF for fiscal year 2026, as well as a 4.4% cut to DEA. So you're going to merge the two agencies together, and then you're going to shortchange their resources, so neither one of them will be able to do the job that they have been designed to do. You've got a 34% cut to the high-intensity drug trafficking areas program, no dedicated money at all for the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force. So, my view, it's fair to say that the Trump administration proposal shortchanges federal efforts to stop illegal gun trafficking and federal efforts to stop the flow of dangerous illegal drugs like fentanyl.
As I was attempting to answer your question very calmly, unlike you,
Excuse me, Madam Attorney General. Answer yes or no. Tell me what the numbers are. I don't want to hear all of your filibuster about this. Go ahead, please. Tell us the numbers.
So we are reorganizing. ATF agents want to be out on the street.
Okay,
working
let me
with
answer the
DEA
question for you.
agents.
I'm going to answer it for you. Page. Mr. Chairman, you give me a certain amount of time, and I have a high respect for you, but I don't have to listen, nor do my colleagues have to listen to a filibuster when it's a simple question. But I have an answer to your question. It's page 146 of the department's fiscal year 2026 budget, and the performance summary explicitly says, and let me quote, ATF will eliminate 541 industry operation investigators, reducing ATF's capacity to regulate the firearms and explosive industries by approximately 40% in fiscal year 2026. ATF will perform fewer regulatory inspections. And the department summary goes on to say, and let me quote, ATF anticipates a reduction of approximately 284 support personnel and 186 agents based on historical attrition patterns, and these personnel cuts will impact ATF across various functions, unquote. If the capacity to regulate firearms industry is reduced by 40%, if you are losing 186 ATF law enforcement agents on top of that, it is clear the direction you are headed with this budget, and that's what it is, isn't it? The proposal will weaken our ability to stop gun trafficking, and it will greatly reduce ATF support for state and local law enforcement that helps them prevent and solve violent crimes. It's a bad proposal.
Do you want to hear my answer in 3 seconds? You mentioned regulatory functions. We will not be having ATF agents go to the doors of gun owners in the middle of the night asking them about their guns, period. They will be out on the streets with DEA, guns and drugs
How many
go
are
together.
gone?
We are not, it will be attrition. We are not firing agents. They
Who are-
will be working
how
with
many have
DEA.
taken attrition?
Can I tell you that they all want to be on the streets? They want to be doing their jobs. They want to be
But you're getting
seizing
them off
guns.
the streets.
They want
You're getting
to.
them
We're
off the
putting
streets.
them on the
And-
streets.
and-
They want to be working with
you,
DEA.
you are getting them off
We
the
will be
streets. There is no
efficient.
clear. And Mr.
We will
Chairman,
be
I yield back my
efficient.
time.
So, she's asking a question that she already thinks she knows the answer to. That's a very bold strategy, Rosa. What's your actual point here? What she's actually complaining about is that we're getting rid of ATF agents. This is a dog whistle to other Democrats and her supporters that, oh, they're getting rid of the ATF. That means that the gun lobby is winning. Oh, that's awful. It's just so awful, ladies and gentlemen, that the ATF, one of the worst governmental organizations that we have up there in DC, is getting gutted and then told, hey, you need to do a better job and you're going to be under the supervision of the DEA because, for some weird reason, the ATF combines three things that don't really have that much to do with each other. All right? Alcohol, firearms, and tobacco. Granted, none of these things mix too terribly well, but that sounds an awful lot like a very weird attempt to go after gun owners than it is to have anything on a regulatory scale. Remember, folks, the ATF is an organization that when they show up, everything's going to get worse. The majority of complaints of people against our government, at least for those that believe in the Second Amendment, are against the ATF because they're overzealous in their jobs. Half of them are bureaucrats who don't know any better, and those bureaucrats are then trying to pass laws that don't really make any sense, and one of those laws could have turned millions of Americans into felons overnight because they wanted a stock bump. They wanted a stock brace. The ATF is either peopled with a whole bunch of bureaucrats who are overzealous and don't know how to do their jobs properly, or they're full of people that could not be a part of the FBI and so had to basically go one step down. And that's not to say anything bad about those folks. They're trying to do their best. But sometimes the ATF goes a little overboard, and not just in their bureaucracies. There are countless times where people have been complaining about them. But yeah, DeLauro is asking a question where she already thinks she has the answer. So all she's trying to get Pam Bondi to do is be a parrot. I'm sorry, if you're asking me a direct question in front of Congress, I'm going to do my best to answer it. And the answer to the question is, yeah, there's going to be some attrition. There's going to be a loss here and there. We're only expecting this budget cuts. What happens to personnel? We don't have a number to tell you quite yet. The number that DeLauro is using here is based on traditional numbers that we've seen throughout the federal government before. But that's like using the CBO to actually extrapolate data. It never ends well. That's because they can only take a look into their crystal ball for so far. They have no idea the way things will actually impact. They have no idea the way the economy is going to change. They have no idea if another law is going to come up in a few months and gut that. You have no idea what's coming. And furthermore, I think this is a good thing in the rightful reduction of federal power, because all those extra agents, guess what they're going to get new jobs at? If they are working for ATF and they lose their job, they're going to go to a state. Right? They're going to go to a state where they might be able to use their talents and then help them out because they've been working at a federal level. Remember, federal, state, local. And that's not to look down on local enforcement at any way, shape, or form. But if you're working at the federal, you've got a couple of extra credentials under your belt. It's like going from USDA Prime to USDA Choice. Okay, there is a difference, but ultimately, you're bringing more experience to a state level. I think that's a good thing. You can honestly say this is trickle-down effects that will help out other states like, I don't know, heavily Democrat ones like New Mexico that called in their National Guard to deal with the drug problem about a month ago. How about California, which has a massive issue? Currently, they're still trying to throw riots down over there in LA. It's not ending too well for them. But maybe that's water under the LA bridges at this point. Ultimately, the whole idea of taking away power from the ATF is a good thing. It's one of the worst run organizations in the federal government. That includes the IRS. All right, that includes BLM, and that's not what you think it means. Bureau of Land Management. They've had an issue of trying to be overzealous when it comes to their own land protection agencies. And we've had issues with them as well across the country, particularly out west. I'm in the southeast. We don't have to deal with the Bureau of Land Management too often. But basically, it's the same way the FBI looks at the ATF. The National Park Service, under the Department of the Interior, looks down on the Bureau of Land Management. And that's because all the pretty stuff is taken by the National Park Service. And again, America's a beautiful place, and the Bureau of Land Management does fantastic work in some capacities, much like park rangers do all over the country. But there are different levels of our federal government that do need to be re-relegated back to the states or wrapped into an entirely new organization, like the ATF's current proposal of having more of their folks move over to the DEA, because I think that the way we write our laws should be good enough for the ATF to start focusing resources elsewhere. The Drug Enforcement Agency, however, I think is a little bit more important than the Alcohol, Firearm, and Tobacco Agency. Yeah, AFT. I did not get that right. Oh well. But the reality is, the ATF can move over a few degrees and still operate in a perfectly normal capacity. We must deal with the bloat in our federal government, and that's what this proposal does, and Rosa DeLauro does not want to admit it because her entire worldview revolves around the insipid idea that the bigger our government, the better it is. As a matter of fact, in this case, the bigger the government, the worse the problems. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Did Pam Bondi get this right in the way she answered this question? My name is Brian. I certainly think so, and hope you enjoyed this segment here on Brawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.